When you pick up a Fire Emblem game, what's the first thing you do? Do you look up a recruitment guide so you don't miss any units? Do you look up growth rates to plan out your team? Do you ask Oifibot, rest in peace, to theorycraft your unit promotions to optimize your stat numbers? Do you look up a tier list to tell you what units to use? Or do you shut all that out, sit down by yourself, and just play? This video might come off as inflammatory to some. I'm not going to tell you that you're right or wrong for how you want to play. I understand the desire to optimize your playthrough because you don't know if you want to play the game through again, and you want to milk as much content from a single playthrough as you can. I've been there. I've done that. I've looked up recruitment guides for my first runs of FE4 and FE5. I will never be able to have truly blind playthroughs of those games. But consider this a warning against your own tendencies. Because we're gamers, beyond just the Fire Emblem community, and we have a tendency to optimize the fun out of everything we do. Instead of discovering through play, we look up numbers under the hood. Instead of exposing ourselves to potential losses, we look ahead to guarantee we don't miss anything. Heck, it's even become something of a moral judgment against people who use bad units in the Fire Emblem community, as if there's something wrong with them. How dare they have suboptimal playthroughs using bad units unless they're deliberately challenging themselves? Don't they know they're making the game harder? All that said, I can't help but feel slightly culpable in this because of my position as a content creator, particularly as a tier list maker. Granted, not all of my tier lists are good, some of them have admittedly been awful, but the fact remains that my content style definitely does stoke more fires than it puts out, at least in this regard. Be that as it may, in this short video I want to advocate for blind play, and more so, playing to have fun. I admit that everyone has different things that they find fun. For some, optimization is such a drive for enjoyment that they plan out LTCs, speedruns, challenges, or peak optimizing unit builds. For them, that's what provides the most fun, and more power to them. I'm not saying that your way of fun is wrong, but I'm also not going to hold that fun on a pedestal and step all over all the other casual players. I definitely still have some beef with game design decisions that have changed the way Fire Emblem treats things like unit death and potentially missable characters or items, but I'm not going to stand here and demand that you ignore time rewinds and blindly soldier into the hardest difficulties with half your army dead. If that doesn't sound interesting to you, there's no need to do it. That said, I will politely request that you do not demean other people for either doing so or for not doing so. Just because I dislike the design space that casual mode and rewinds have enabled doesn't mean that I think people who play on casual are playing a fundamentally inferior game mode, or worse, are fundamentally inferior players. No, the biggest problem that I've had with the FE community that I've come to in the last few months, particularly after Engage's release and the subsequent tearing apart of it like a carcass descended upon my vultures, is the obsession with optimization to the point of active harassment and abuse for people who just enjoy using different units than you do. Can't we all just agree that you can beat the game no matter what units you use and it doesn't really matter? Apparently we can't, because then we get into the weeds on how you use your units. Endless number checks, comparisons, map checks, theorycraft builds, all to make something that you know will work ahead of time instead of just playing around with something janky and figuring out how to make it work in the moment. I get it. It's a strategy RPG. Planning, optimizing, building better, that's all intended game space. But once you optimize so far that you've solved every challenge in the game before you've even played it, using knowledge gathered from data mining sources or other people who have played the game and told you how it works, are you really even playing the game anymore? Or are you just going through the motions, playing through the game only as a formality? Is gameplay fun? Or is it just a perfunctory obligation that you claim is fun? This video was almost a Samson vs. Aaron, a companion to the last one about viewing unit stats, but I came to the conclusion that there really aren't equal sides in this debate. It's just a flag of human nature. We want the things we want, be they achievements or recognition or accomplishment, and in order to get them, we'll sacrifice anything that we perceive as less important. And one of the first things we tend to sacrifice is enjoyment. Pleasure. Fun. Because fun is fleeting, temporary, a distraction from the end goal. There is no achievement in fun. There is no greater purpose to fun. Fun is merely itself, a moment of joy isolated and packaged for its own sake. But then again, isn't that the point? Do we not play games to have fun? To escape our other stressors, isolate ourselves from the pains of the world, and sit down in a world where our successes or failures are in our own hands? If that is the case, then what's the fun in following someone else's instructions on how to succeed? Yes, you win, but did you win? Or is it just another win for the person who told you how? This is where blind play is, in my opinion, best. You don't know the meta, you don't know the best and worst units, You don't know what challenges the maps ahead will provide, and you don't know if there are any secrets to be found. You just play. You take what you get, you make the most of it. Create your own strategies, use units and items that you might otherwise have never used, and you experience the game in a way that no one else has, because you are the one making the choices. When you aren't constantly tabbing away to a wiki or asking someone else for tips, the game is far more immersive. When you play each map as it's presented, you feel actual tension from Fog of War instead of frustration. When you use whatever units you feel like, you come to your own conclusions about them, and no one can take that away from you. I fear that in the Fire Emblem community, we have become so obsessed with being good players, beating the game in the easiest ways possible, that we've forgotten what it means to have fun. Don't look up anything, not even recruitment guides. Play without knowing all the secrets and bonus chapters. Use characters because you think they're funny or cute, or just because something about them draws you to them. Make the best builds you can figure out, and don't worry if you aren't playing to the meta. Find real challenge in overcoming maddening difficulty with builds of your own design, rather than just copying whatever Jono or Rengar come up with. No hate on them, they're great, but the point is to do things for yourself at least once first. This is true for other games too, not just Fire Emblem. Play without guides. Don't look up secrets ahead of time. Immerse yourself within the game instead of trying to complete it as optimally as possible. Because when you do that, you're optimizing the fun out of your free time. I get that you have a backlog to get through, but don't let that backlog keep you from enjoying every game in it. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope it didn't get too meta-narrative for you. I absolutely love this type of high concept merging of psychology and philosophy. It was my major in college for a reason, and it's rare that I get a chance to flex my inner Socratic method. If you like this type of video and want more, let me know, and I'll share more of my brainwaves. If not, then also let me know, and I'll get back to just doing structured game design analyses going forward. Either way, until next time, this is Mithril Zenith, signing out.